Okay, part 2 of season 1, episode 1 of The Wheel of Time. I don't even think I wrote down the show I should have wrote down the show title, but I didn't. But it's fine. Wheel of Time, season 1, episode 1. We got that covered. Okay, so I was just finishing talking about that initiation ceremony with the wisdom and Egwene and everybody in the women in the Two Rivers with the braid and everything. Go back and watch that video if you want more information on that. But again, in the books, there seems to be more of like talk about like the women's circle in the Two Rivers. In the show, it's not so big of a thing yet, but yeah, in the Two Rivers, they're in a lot of towns in this story. There's wisdoms in each town, and they're kind of like the healers, and like they can listen to the wind is what they would say that their skill is. And then after that, they heal people, and they're pretty powerful in the town. And then there's also like the women's circle within this town at least, and this was just the initiation ceremony. Yes. Okay, so now we skip scenes again. So now we're introduced to a boy and his father, which they don't say the names really in this scene, but it's Rand and his father Tam. Rand has a bow and arrow, and they're walking with the carriage and horse. And I put pretty views, so yeah, there's a lot of pretty scenescapes in this in the first episode. And so yeah, Rand and Tam, they live like, this isn't really said in the show, but in the books they live in a farm off of Emond's Field, which is the town, but they live in the Two Rivers still, which is like the area. And so they're coming to town with the horse and carriage. So yeah. Then they get to town. Tam brings his apple cider brandy to the inn. In the books, it's the Wine Spring Inn. It isn't mentioned in the show, but that's where they are. And then they're in a tavern. Rand is sitting with two other men who are Mat and Perrin that we will find out. It is mentioned that Rand is pining over Egwene, and they hear that there's been word of war going on. And Egwene walks in and everybody cheers because she had just been initiated into the women's circle. And we learn that Meryn is Egwene's mom. And then it seems to be a little bit later. I think it got dark outside. And then I love this. I love like ethereal Rand, or ethereal Lan. Say the names right. Ethereal Lan and Moraine come into the tavern, and everybody stops. And it's super dramatic, and like Lan walks in first and everyone like turns to him, and then Moraine comes in after, and they are looking for a room and a place to stay. And it's just, I just love that. I don't know, I know it's like, I know probably people who like are in love with the books and then watch the show, they're like ugh, or other people might be like, this is so cringe or whatever, but I love that. And then you start to learn like kind of what then the town thinks of the Aes Sedai, and they know that the Aes Sedai are powerful, and it's said that Aes Sedai can change the course of war and turn all heads, and yeah, and people are kind of wary of them in general. So yeah, there's this whole storyline with Layla and Perrin, which again, Perrin is a character that I have had to grow an appreciation through the books, and I've just had to learn more about. I know that he becomes a character later, I've heard, but when I watch the show and stuff, I'm mainly, especially upon first watch without knowing what happens, I was into the women, right? Egwene, Nynaeve, Moraine, future women that are going to come into the story. And honestly, Rand, Perrin, and Mat, some of these scenes I'm like, I don't even remember them because I think I skipped them. So now seeing them, I'm like, just, I'm tolerating them. I'm not completely bashing them. It's just their storylines, and there's other storylines that just, they need to come up. They need to build more. Okay, so yeah. Rand and Egwene, or Aes Sedai don't fight wars, they pull the strings of the world from the White Tower. Someone said that, and I'm like, ooh, that's a good line. So that's a good line. Also rewatching this, the first time I was like, Tam is Rand's dad, and I was like, whoever this guy is, you know, I just kind of ignored him. But Tam in this first episode, I think he has 3 lines, and they are zingers. Like, they are good lines. I'm like, those mean something in the future, you know? So I'm like, dang, he got some good lines in this first episode. Okay, and then next scene, Lan, I don't know why I keep effing up Lan's name. Lan and Moraine take a bath together, and like, I just love that too. I don't know why. I just love like the bath scenes. There's gonna be like more bath scenes. I just think that's a great idea. I just love the bath scenes. Again, it's like so ethereal and magical to me. But yeah, then you can see that Moraine has superpowers in a way, because she can make the water warmer, so she does that, and that's cool to see. And then they're talking about who the dragon is. So you can also tell important conversations happen in the bath. Yes. Okay, I keep putting my knee up there, but then I don't like how it looks on camera. So put it down. Okay. Okay, next scene, there's drama about Nynaeve asking Egwene to be wisdom. Rand doesn't like that, because Rand is like, because then you're gonna have a lonely life with no husband and no kids. So there's a little drama there. There's more drama in the show between, or like, not drama, but like Egwene and Rand are like together more in the show, because, you know, in the books, it's just kind of from Rand's perspective, and it's more of him like in his head about all this. So in the show, they had to obviously show it. So they interact a lot more in the show than they do in the books, at least in the first book. So then the peddler comes in, his name Padan Fain. He's there for Beltane, Mary Beltane. In the books, I really I gained a lot more appreciation for the peddler type person and the gleeman type person. So there's gleemen who are like they're the actors, right? So they're hired by inns for a night or two to like tell jokes, tell stories, sing songs, perform, juggle, like do all that stuff. And I just love that whole aspect of it, because also these are the stories that people in these towns believe, and then they go to another town, they hear more stories, they talk to people, and then they tell stories. So like, I just love that kind of shows you like the times, right? The time that we're in this book. And then I love the whole thing in the book with the peddler. Like in the show, you're kind of like, okay, whatever, like this scene with the peddler, and you're just kind of whatever. But in the books, right, like the peddlers go from town to town, so they're the ones who kind of keep the next town informed about what's happening in the other town. And so they, you know, kind of bring the stories and bring the news. And so I think that's kind of a cool aspect that I think is lost today with like technology and stuff. There's like a lot less spoken word maybe, or it's just all virtual, and it's just different now. So again, these characters in the show, upon first watch, like the gleeman and the peddler, they didn't mean much to me, but in the books they mean a little bit more. So upon reading the first book and returning to the show, I've gained appreciation for them. Okay, I'm coming up on 10-minute mark again, so I'm gonna have to make part 3. And yeah, so we'll get into, there's kind of like this black cloaked guy or person who's kind of lurking around camp, so they're trying to figure that out too. But yeah, so watch the next part and see ya. Bye.